Welcome in to sportsbookreview.com. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
This is the college football show. That's right. We have a season. We are underway. We're heading into week 2. I guess the traditional week 2. We still got some conferences not playing. That's okay. We got big games this weekend. We are ready to rock and roll. But before we dive into that, do us a favor. Hit the like button down there. It's that little thumbs up button. Go ahead and hit that. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. That way you will be notified. And you can hit the little bell as well to make sure you're going to be notified when we go live, when we're ready to rock and roll. Today's show is our weekly picks show. Yes, it's a little early. Yes, it's Tuesday. We don't care. It is time. There's lines on the board. It is time to bet on some of these games, and we're ready to rock and roll with that. Do yourself a favor all season long. Go over to sbrpicks.com/NCAAF, or you can just click the link down in the description. They're going to have everything you need. We got a fantastic crew, some guys behind the scenes, fantastic writers, guys that know what they're talking about. They're going to keep you up to date on everything that's going on in the college football universe throughout the entire season, and we're going to be right here with you. Let's go ahead and dive into our weekly recap. Last week was good. Well, for me, I guess. 5-1 last week in the 6 bets that I had. Chris went 1-2, but that's okay. It is still early. No big deal. Typically, Chris is the one that is excited after these things. But I finally got a good weekend. Last season was not good for me. But but it's okay. We're good to go. So I went 5-1 after Navy decided to disgrace me on national television, along with all of the U.S. Armed Forces. I mean, that was a debacle, absolute debacle. And you and I knew immediately, right? I mean, it was just 2 drives in. Now, I was able to hedge, but we can't do the show live all the time. So, it is what it is. But you could tell immediately that it was not going to go Navy's way at all. So with that said, we don't spend long on these recaps because we don't have a long time, and there's a lot of games to get to. Let's go ahead and dive into the first game of the week, and that would be UAB at Miami. That is 393 and 394 for the rotation numbers. That's Thursday night. It is ACC Network, and I would guess the majority of the people are going to be watching the NFL game. Would you say so?
Yes. The ratings for the NFL game will be insane. The ratings for this will...
minuscule.
Yeah.
Minuscule. Especially because it's on the ACC Network, which...
Well, nobody even gets that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So it's not as bad as the Pac-12 Network, but, it is what it is. So let's dive into this game a little bit. Returning production, UAB, 81% returning production from last year. And even with that, even with all the chemistry and the comfortability and whatnot, they still had 3 turnovers the other night that were massive. Turned the game from 45 to 17 or something that it should have been into a 45-35 final score.
Correct.
It was bad. Looking at this, Miami 2-14 against the spread as a touchdown or better favorite in their last 16. That is not good. Not good. Heading into year 2 of the Manny Diaz era, I think that it's going to be different this go round. I do. I don't know that everybody else does. So I didn't figure you did.
I don't.
But UAB.
Can Manny Diaz coach offense?
No, but he brought in somebody that he thinks can do that.
But has that person proven to do that?
No.
Okay. All right.
No.
I'll stand where I'm at.
I can understand that. UAB is 0-3 against the spread against Power 5 teams.
Okay.
Since they have come back from the dead.
So they've played 3 Power 5 teams in 5 years?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well,
they lost all 3 of them and didn't cover any 3 of them.
Right. And so here's the deal. It was a mediocre Florida team back in 2017 where they lost 36-7. It was a mediocre Texas A&M team in 2018.
And now it's a mediocre Miami team.
And then it was a mediocre Tennessee team last year where they lost 30-7. They lost by an average of 24 points to these teams. Now it's a mediocre Miami team.
Got it.
And they're going on the road. It's a Thursday night. Not a lot of fans, all that kind of stuff. But I think the talent discrepancy here is going to be massive. So you're getting Miami at less than 2 touchdowns. I like Miami in the spot. I know you're rolling with Will Clark.
If you go with UAB, you can get them at 2 touchdowns.
Oh, can you?
So, yeah, well, yes, you can get it at 14 all day long.
Oh, yeah, I see it now.
All day long, you can get them at 14.
Yeah, it's all day today. It has been 13.5 pretty much everywhere.
No, it's one book has got them at 13.5, and everybody's at 14.
Yeah, it seems everybody's at 14 now. So Intertop's 13.5. So if you want Miami, you better hop on the train.
You better get them now.
I think you better get them now.
That line's getting bigger. Listen, you gave 3 examples over the past 5 years. Okay? I don't really care. I don't really care. Three examples, a pretty small sample size.
Agreed.
Okay?
Agreed.
This Bill Clark team is really good, and they got their warm-up game.
That's true.
If Miami comes out and looks like UAB looked last week, then they're not going to cover this football game. You don't think this Miami team's capable of fumbling the football away?
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. The analytics, I like to give these out. The analytical average on these you can find over at the prediction tracker and whatnot. That's where I find them anyway. Miami minus 14.5 is what they've got it at. So I like Miami in the spot. I think they're going to come out fired up for this ball game. You know, it's early season game. A lot of these other ones are typically late season. I think Miami's going to be ready for this one. So I'm going against the grain, or at least your grain, and I'm going to take Miami there. Moving on to the next game here. That would be 415, 416 rotation numbers. Louisiana at Iowa State. Now, this is Saturday. This is a 12 p.m. Eastern time game on ESPN. Big time spot for Billy Napier's boys, the Raging Cajuns. Like, this is big time TV game on big ESPN, national TV audience, all that good stuff. Returning production, these guys are about as even as it gets. ULL is 66%, Iowa State 67%. The analytical average, Iowa State minus 10.76 for this game. So the line is right there. As it sits, I mean, I'm seeing 11.5 across the board, just everywhere.
Everywhere.
And the total is 56.5 to 57.5 everywhere. So you can get it anywhere between there.
Right now, BetOnline's got it at 11 if you want it to take Iowa State, but everybody else 11.5.
There you go. So what you've got here is basically quarterback Brock Purdy against quarterback Levi Lewis. These are 2 senior quarterbacks that have been around for a little while that run these offenses to perfection. I'm going to tell you why I'm going with Louisiana in this ball game. The EPA, which is expected points averaged per play. Now, this is EPA per rush for ULL. It was number 12 in the country last year. So EPA, for those that don't know, is basically a metric that adds in success and explosiveness. So it's yards per play and success rate.
Okay.
They were number 12 at running the football. They bring back the offensive line. They bring back 2 NFL running backs. And they're going to keep doing the same thing.
They are not afraid of anybody.
No.
Not afraid of anybody.
Iowa State returns, a good portion of their defense. They could not stop the run last year. They were number 95 in EPA per rush on defense. Number 95. That ain't good. Now, I don't know. I will say this. ULL's defense can shut down the pass, and that is the one thing that Iowa State has going for it. Now, I think Iowa State's going to be a little bit better running the ball. They were able to figure it out towards the end of last year. But, man, when the one thing you're good at is the one thing that the other defense is good at, or good at stopping, that's where it comes in, right? Like, that's where the issue is. I like Louisiana to keep this game really close. Now, I love Iowa State this year on all my futures and whatnot. I think they've got a chance to win the Big 12. But this is a tough opening game. Like, I think Louisiana is
going to be one of the harder teams they play all year, and they're playing the rest of the time in their conference.
Yes.
That tells you how good Louisiana is.
Yes.
That tells you how good the Raging Cajuns are. Billy Napier has his team ready to roll.
Yes, he does.
I'm the same way. I love this game. I love this team. I love this pick. I think they can win the football game.
I think they can.
You tell me I get 11.5 point head start? Are you crazy?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's nuts. It's nuts.
I'm taking all those points.
Moving on.
A little on the money line.
Oh, a little bit on the money line. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's move on to the next game here. Duke at Notre Dame. It's rotation 411 and 412. Saturday, September 12th. Of course, all these are Saturday, September 12th. I don't even have to say that anymore. 2:30 p.m. Eastern time on NBC. Returning production, Duke 65%, Notre Dame at 56%. Now, that's not great for Notre Dame, right? However, the analytical average has Notre Dame winning by 18.99 points. So you got to figure out, all right, is Notre Dame really that good, or is Duke that bad? And last year, Duke was definitely that bad. They got completely out of their comfort zone with their offense last year. The quarterback that they had could not run what Cutcliffe likes to do.
Correct.
Now you got Chase Bryce coming in, Clemson transfer, can do exactly what David Cutcliffe wants to do on that offense. Can he get it back to normal? Can he do it effectively in the first game? I don't know if that's the case. I will say this: Cutcliffe 8-4 the last 3 years as a road underdog against the spread. Not outright. That'd be absurd. But yeah, the other question is new Notre Dame offensive coordinator Tommy Rees. Now we know Ian Book's great. We know they're going to have some weapons. The offensive line is going to be outstanding. It always is. The defensive line is going to be good. I do like Notre Dame here. This seems just like a ton of points, though, man. I don't feel comfortable taking it. If I had to take a side, I would take Duke.
Yeah, we have to make a pick on all these games.
Yeah.
These are not our gambling picks. We have to make a pick on all these games.
We'll have our official picks at the end of the show.
I would 100% take Duke in this scenario where I've got to make a pick. This screams backdoor cover. Yes. This screams Notre Dame dominating this football game and giving up a garbage time touchdown. But you talked about the way Cutcliffe wants to do things and getting back to running the football and all that stuff. And you talked a little bit about Notre Dame not bringing it. Listen, they have become the kind of school that a lot of these big power schools are, where they just rotate. Yes, they lose a ton of guys, and then they just bring in more guys. And you know what they've done better than most anybody outside of the SEC? Their front seven has just been a revolving door of dudes going to the league and new dudes coming in that are going to play in the league.
Yeah, you're right.
And so I don't really worry about what they've lost and what they've got coming back, because I just assume they're still recruiting at a pretty insane level.
Especially compared to teams like Duke.
They're going to be, talent-wise, they're going to be so much better than Duke. I don't like gambling on hoping for the backdoor cover. That is the only way Duke is going to win, to cover this game. That's it.
You might be right.
I don't like betting the dog if I don't think there's a way the dog can win the game. I don't think there's any world in which I believe Duke can win the game. Might, but I just don't see it. And I just don't want to hope that they get lucky at the end of the game to do something crazy to catch
I love taking David Cutcliffe when I feel like he is going to be able to outcoach the other side.
And I don't think he's outcoaching Brian Kelly.
Yeah, I have felt a lot better.
I've done a bigger 180 on in my, and it was never about coaching, but ever than Brian Kelly.
Yeah. Jared Schrader jumps in on the chat. He said, "Hey guys, what is up, everybody? Hopefully everybody that's watching, if you want to dive in and give us your picks on these games, we would love to hear it. Leave down in the comments, of course, what your opinions are and whatnot. We would love to get everybody's say on what's going on, because we ain't always right, obviously. So we'd like to hear what you got going on. With that said, let's move on to the next game here. That would be Georgia Tech at Florida State. It's rotation 399 and 400. That one, of course, Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern time on ABC. Big national window for this game. And the debut of one Mike Norvell, former Memphis coach, right here in our backyard. We got used to having him around. Obviously, he ain't here anymore. He is down in Tallahassee. Returning production, Georgia Tech is number 2 in the country, 84%. And 90+% of that is on defense. However, there ain't a whole lot of talent there. That's where you kind of run into an issue, right? This ain't great. The analytics have got Florida State winning this by 11.26 points. Norvell, in the last 3 years that he was at Memphis, in conference was 17-9-1 against the spread.
Pretty good.
Conference games, he makes it a point to go out and show up for these games.
Yep.
Florida State, on the other side, talking about returning production, Florida State's got over 80% returning production on defense. And if you talk about a talent advantage, Florida State is worlds ahead of Georgia Tech right now.
Not close.
I mean, it's nowhere near. Jeff Collins still has to build that roster. Still got to build the roster. They were 2-7 against the spread as an underdog last year. And now you got Florida State at less than 2 touchdowns. What is it right now? 11.5,
It's
12?
11.5, 12.
Yeah, there's some 12.5. So it's starting to move.
Yeah.
So I like Florida State a lot in this game. I think James Blackman comes out it does what he needs to do.
He's going to look better than he's ever looked under Mike Norvell.
I think so.
Mike Norvell's offense is so quarterback friendly. Memphis was putting guys in the NFL that have no business being in the NFL.
Yeah. And it's not just quarterbacks. It is he takes the players that he's got.
Players.
It's the Belichick mindset.
They
right?
play they just look so it looks so simple.
Yes.
When they do it. They're making it look easy. They're not that great.
Right. None
of those guys have gone into the NFL and looked good at all. Not just the quarterback. None of them. But at Memphis, they're just it's right. It's the build thing. It's I'm going to put you in a position to do something that you do really well. I don't care about all the things that you do bad. I'm going to find this one thing you do good. And I'm just going to ask you to do that over and over and over again. And for some reason, other teams just have a really hard time figuring out, when this guy's on the field, he's going to do X.
Yeah. One thing that Norvell, and especially new offensive coordinator Kenny Dillingham, who was with him at Memphis 2 years ago.
I'm not worried about those because it's all Norvell.
Agreed. But he helps make the game plans, right?
Yeah.
So with that, they are fantastic at finding a weakness and opening up space to attack that weakness.
And they'll just do it over and over again.
Yeah.
They'll run the same play 6-7 times. If you can't stop it, they're just going to keep doing it.
And they'll run it out of different formations. They'll find ways to trick you into it.
At the end of the day, it's really not as complicated as it looks. It's really baffling that nobody figures it out.
Yes.
And it makes it look kind of easy.
Yes, indeed. And one thing we don't have to worry about with this bunch, with Florida State or with Georgia Tech, neither one of them missed any practices.
No,
that's one thing we've had to focus on this week is who's missing practices, who's not.
Everything seems to be going well with both of these programs. This game should go off without a hitch.
You are correct. All right, move on to the last big game, the last big TV game. That would be Clemson at Wake Forest. That's 407, 408 rotation numbers, Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC. That is the big one. That is Kirk and Chris and, the College Game Day bunch and whatnot. They will be at Wake Forest for the game. Returning production, you would think, okay, Dave Clawson here, they might have a little bit of an advantage, if only because Clemson just rotates guys in and out. So there's going to be inexperience. Clemson is at 55% returning production. Not great, but of course, you got the quarterback coming back. You got Trevor Lawrence. You got Travis Etienne. You got Amari Rodgers. You got all these guys, right? And the biggest problem really, it's going to be on defense because they've got fresh faces in there, but they got 5-star after 5-star.
I was just about to say, there's not going to be a 4-star touch the field. So
no. However, Wake Forest only returns 50% of their production. They have an incredible.
How many 5-stars do you think they've got? 0?
0.
Okay. I would think it's close to 0.
Yes. Alex jumps in and says, parlays. Woohoo, we love parlays. All right, yeah, we got you one at the end of the show. Don't worry. So Sia jumps in, said, great show, guys. Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
A little early for that.
Little early with the parlays, but that's all right. Hey, we're going to get you taken care of. No worries. As far as Clemson goes, look, when Wake Forest does not have experience, when they do not have a upperclassman-laden roster, that's where you run into problems, right? And everybody says, well, Dave Clawson has figured this out before, and he's got Sam Hartman, who has been a starting quarterback before. It is what it is. They're going to find a way to – look, I will tell you this. The last 2 seasons, Clemson has beaten the absolute brakes off of Wake Forest. Last year, 52-3. 2 years ago at Wake Forest was 63-3. Wake Forest has not scored a touchdown on Clemson.
I was trying to figure out how hard the math was going to be to see could I get to 35 with those, but that was pretty easy to.
Yeah, 60 points 2 years ago and 49 last year. I think they are going to cover
math
the
wasn't 33. As hard as I thought it was going to be.
Is it 33.5 right
33 now? 33.5. It's climbing.
It's climbing. It opened at 31.5.
Yeah, it opened at 31, and you're not finding anything.
It's
32 or below.
This is going to be a bloodbath. Absolute bloodbath.
Yay! This is the game of the evening. I love.
We are going to have a bigger slate as we go forward, but as it stands right now, I
feel like I'm in a ransom video.
I know it's insane, right?
Read a script to a camera.
Clemson covers as a favorite. They just do, and it's not our favorite thing to see. You would hope that you could see, especially after last week.
There wasn't anybody.
There wasn't a single one possession game last week.
Nope.
Except for, I guess, Texas State when they kicked a field goal late.
At the very end, they made it one possession.
That's just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. All right. With that said, let's move into the interesting games of the weekend. And the first one on the docket here is an ACC battle on Saturday morning. That would be Syracuse and North Carolina. The analytical average here, UNC minus 10.95, which is a worlds different. Jared jumps in on YouTube, said, I'm just happy college football is actually happening. Can't complain about the slate of games. I think there are good matchups out there. Yeah, there are some. We're going to get through some of these right now. The Syracuse-North Carolina game is interesting. Syracuse had to pause practice twice in August. They came out with an updated roster, an updated depth chart, and it looks immensely different from what everybody expected it to. Now, they still got their core impact players. And towards the end of last season, Tommy DeVito kind of got that offense figured out. They started putting up points because they were a dumpster fire to begin the season. But they got it kind of rolling towards the end of last year. And if anybody can figure out how to get an offense going, you would think it'd be Dino, right?
Yeah.
North Carolina, the last 3 games of last year, absolutely walloped people. And if they can bring that momentum in here, and if the pauses in practice and all that, like, I'm terrified of this number because everybody's on North Carolina. But I did see Syracuse get beat up on really bad in some games last year.
Here's what we have to stop doing, though, Gary. We have to stop looking at how a team looked at the end of the year last year because it's the beginning of the year this year.
Agreed.
You're right. Some teams get better and some teams get rolling. And at the end of the year, they look really good. But they look like shit at the beginning of the year because they are.
Agreed.
Okay? And you can't say, well, 9 months ago, we were really good. Let's play off that momentum. There's been never in the history of momentum has momentum carried 9 months.
This is true.
Through a pandemic.
However,
through the whole country shutting down and losing our damn minds.
Forget the momentum thing, though. It's not that. It's that Tommy DeVito figured out the Syracuse offense, right, towards the end of last season, which I think means going into this season, he's a little more prepared to be able to run it, right? If North Carolina, if their defense figured out what Jay Bateman was doing towards the end of last season, I think that's going to carry over into the beginning of this season.
Maybe.
And I think that Sam Howell will be even better. So it's not momentum. It is they figured out what they're supposed to be doing.
That's not what you said. So I just want to make sure we're clear on what we're doing. All right? You made an argument that didn't make any sense. You got other points that make sense. I'm okay with that. I'll take Syracuse.
I'm with you. I
give
like
me all those points. Give me Dino Babers. I don't understand this roster. It does scare the hell out of me. I don't like it, but I like Dino Babers. Damn it.
I can understand it. And if I was forced
I think
to make
this
a pick,
Mac Brown thing could be a farce.
Woo.
Should I double down on just doubting him? Because I doubted him last year and I looked like a fool. Is it better just double down and hope they can't do it 2 years in a row?
You didn't look like a fool last year. I mean,
sure I did.
But no, they went 7-6.
Yeah, but I thought that'd be all. I didn't.
You thought they'd be real bad.
I thought it'd be a disaster, and it wasn't a disaster.
We are going to roll through these fairly quickly. Next one, Louisiana Tech and Baylor. Baylor, analytical average here. Baylor minus 18.02. There are 4 new coordinators in this game. There's 1 new head coach. There's 1 new quarterback on Louisiana Tech side. And Louisiana Tech won 10 ball games last year. Looked pretty good. They beat up on Miami in the Independence Bowl or whatever was going on out there. However, Louisiana Tech only 46% returning production. They gotta figure some things out, and they didn't have time to do it. And they had to deal with the hurricane, that came through just a couple of weeks ago. Like your first instinct for me was, man, Baylor switched over everybody. They lost a bunch of dudes, but they returned Charlie Brewer. The first instinct would say take Louisiana Tech. I think I would go Baylor on this one because I think they're going to be more comfortable.
Have you noticed the voodoo to the line?
Wait, what's the voodoo now?
So SBR Sportsbook Review. Go to the odds section. You can see all the lines, all the numbers. Showing right now 60% of the bets are coming in on Louisiana Tech. The line's still getting bigger, though.
Yeah.
See, that's called
reverse line movement.
Chicanery. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that. That is, everybody's going one way, and the odds makers are making the number the other.
I would go Baylor.
Well, yeah, me too. Oh, I'll tell you this. There won't be a day on this show where I'll bet against Dave Aranda.
Okay.
I just won't do it.
Moving on from that, Louisiana Monroe and Army is the next game up. Army minus 14.48 is the analytical average here. Look, Louisiana Monroe, they're fairly comfortable against the triple option. Now, it doesn't mean that they're good at stopping it, but they have at least seen it because they played Georgia Southern every year. Last year, they got walloped by them 51-29. This is one that I love the over on. And we'll get to the official picks here in a minute. Of course, we're just going to run through those. But I love the over on this because it is all the way down to 54. And it opened at, 58? I mean, it's just, let's see, opened at 57. It's down to 54 at some spots, 54.5 at other. I like to go over this one because I think that both teams will be able to score almost at will. And, I mean, it is what it is. Class Rodriguez jumps in and says, hello, everybody. So, again, go over to sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. Do yourself a favor. Click the links down there. Make sure you subscribe, like the video, and jump in here with your picks. Tell us what you like this week. We would love to hear your opinions. You like Louisiana Monroe here, right?
I like Louisiana Monroe here for one reason only. This is absolutely a puff piece by Army. We just saw Army beat the fool out of MTSU.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, man, this team could go undefeated. They might not lose a game. Look how good they looked. I just always want to take that team the next week and just fade. I
agree.
I don't care who they're playing. This line opened at minus 14 and has been bet up to 19. Wait until Saturday. It'll be 20.
Yeah. It may get to
keep
21.
rising.
I mean, there's
97% of the action is on Army, and that is not changing, my friend. It's just not.
That's insane.
Everybody loves it. It's patriotic. It feels good, and they look like they deserve it. I'm telling you, this ain't MTSU, okay? Yeah. It's not. They're going to hold the football longer than MTSU did. They're going to score more than MTSU did. Yes. I can make those two guarantees right there. They might not win the game. They might not cover the game. They will hold the ball longer, which is going to make the game closer, and they will actually score, which will make the game closer.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I mean, I don't even have anything to add to it.
Let's roll.
Oh, I will add this. Louisiana Monroe's defense, their defensive line, kind of putrid. That's why I think that teams are going to be able to score at will. Army will be able to score. Moving on, Tulane and South Alabama. This is another one that you were talking about.
Exact same story, second verse.
The average, as far as analytics go, Tulane by 8.66. So that kind of makes sense. Tulane as a favorite last two seasons, and this extends further than that, but Willie Fritz as a favorite, you can almost just blindly bet on him as a favorite. He was 10-5 against the spread as a favorite the last two seasons. I mean, they brought in a ton of talented transfers. Their defense was a little bit of an issue towards the end of last season, and they got way better talent-wise on the defensive line, in the secondary. I mean, I think they're going to be fantastic again. Will Hall, the offensive coordinator, he's already up for the Southern Miss job.
That's insane, by the way. I love the guy. That's ridiculous.
Oh, it's definitely ridiculous.
Right now, same thing. Everybody saw South Alabama put a whooping on Southern Miss. So bad. Southern Miss, in the year of COVID, when we thought no coaches would lose their job, everybody gets a year. No. Southern Miss says, you're out the door. You lose to South Alabama, you're out the door. Why? Because South Alabama is not supposed to be a good football team.
Yes.
Maybe they're really not a good football team, and Southern Miss is just that underperformed.
Yeah.
How about that? But we all saw what we saw with our eyes, and now everybody swings that way. 71% of the action on South Alabama. This line has gone from 11. You can get it at 7.5 at Pinnacle.
Yeah. I mean, you can get it at 7.5 a couple of different spots, right?
Just at Pinnacle.
Okay, so that's changed.
Everywhere else is 8 to 8.5. One place has got it at 9.
Either way, I think if it's under 10, I think you're pretty comfortable there. Pretty comfortable. I love Tulane in this spot.
Yes, sir.
So I love Willie Fritz. I love Tulane. Let's move on. Western Kentucky and Louisville, and that is another night game. ACC Network. Look, average here, Louisville minus 13.5. The line is sitting 11.5, 11.5 or 12. It depends on what book you want to get it at. But look, Western Kentucky was pretty good last year. Won 9 games in Tyson Helton's first season. I love Scott Satterfield. I think that they figured that offense, Mikael Cunningham and Tutu Atwell, those guys are fantastic, and they can run the football. And yeah, you would say that the offensive line lost Mekhi Becton, but you dig into those numbers, like he was just a body. Like he didn't really do much. And I don't think they're going to miss him that bad. So either way, I like Louisville a lot in this spot. Louisville won this game last year, 38-21. Is that more than 11.5?
Yes.
That's it's more than 12 too.
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. So
I had to do math on that one.
And I think that Louisville is better now than they were in week 3 of the first year of Scott Satterfield. So
do we think the pass rush of Western Kentucky is so good that losing an offensive lineman is like a really thing that you should be afraid of?
I will say this, the Western Kentucky defensive line is really good. But I don't think they're that good, and they ain't seen anybody like Tutu Atwell.
Like Georgia really good?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. I was just curious.
No.
I was just like, when you say really good, I need to know what we're talking about.
I mean, the only team that really slowed down Louisville last year was Kentucky and Notre Dame, really. So if you want,
those defensive lines are really good.
Yes.
Really good. Okay.
Yes. Really, really good.
Really good. I got it. Really, really good.
Last one here for the interesting games, Coastal Carolina and Kansas. Now, I've got this because it's going to serve basically as your Pac-12 after dark game. You got to have the late night game. If you're behind on the day, we don't recommend this, but some people like to chase, right? Some people like to chase.
Do whatever you want. I'm not going to recommend anything.
No, exactly.
I'm going to tell you what I think and what I like.
Yeah. We don't recommend chasing, but you can chase if you want to.
You can live your life however you want.
You do what you want to do.
I won't judge you at all.
The average here is Kansas minus 9.22. 60% of the action is on Coastal Carolina. The line opened at Kansas minus 3.5. And now there is 60% of the action on Coastal Carolina, and the line has gone to minus 6.5 or minus 7, depending on the book, towards Kansas.
That's called chicanery.
That is chicanery.
I would use other bad words, but
I will say this.
Like to not to.
The Jamie Chadwell, I think, is going to do a good job with Coastal Carolina. They did beat Kansas 12-7 last year, but they switched out that offensive coordinator at Kansas, and they were immediately able to put up points.
This team is just totally different after that.
Just hand it off to Puka Williams, and that's all you got to do. The whole ballgame. Kansas will be able to put up points. Now, their defense is awful. Absolutely awful. And I think that Coastal Carolina is going to be able to score. But I think that Kansas will be able to score a lot more, and they're going to be able to hold on to the football and keep it away from Coastal. I love Kansas in this spot. I think they're going to win by 2 touchdowns. Like, everybody wants to bet against Kansas. I don't think so. Not in this spot.
Be my guest. Yeah. Bet against my guy, Les Miles.
There you go.
See what happens.
All right, let's move into the official picks. I will give mine out first. I've got 6 of them this week. And you can go over to sbrpicks.com/NCAAF tomorrow on Wednesday and read up the article on that. First one on the board, Miami minus 13.5 or minus 14, so long as it stays at 2 touchdowns. I love it there. I think Miami has the talent to be able to blow this one wide open. I've got Louisiana plus 11.5, and that is at Iowa State. I think that they are going to – I think they got a shot to win the game. And this could be a touchdown either way, but I don't see it going over 10 points at all. I think Louisiana is going to be able to score, not at will, but quite a bit on Iowa State. I've got, let's see, Louisiana Monroe and Army over 54 right now. That line has been bet down. Louisiana Monroe will be able to score. If Army puts up the exact same points that they did last week, 42, and Louisiana Monroe just puts up 14, that's an over. That's 56 points. So I like the over 54. It opened at 57.5. It's already been bet way, way down. People love betting military unders. Georgia Tech at Florida State. Taking Florida State minus 11.5, minus 12. I'd be good with that all the way up to 13.5 points or so, 14 points, because I think that Florida State is going to roll these guys in this first game. The talent discrepancy is just too much. I like Florida State a lot there. Last 2, Tulane minus 8 at South Alabama. We already talked about that one, but I love Willie Fritz in this spot, and I don't think South Alabama is as good as they looked against Southern Miss. And finally, rolling with Scott Satterfield. I'm going to take Louisville minus 11.5 at home against Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky's good, but they do not have the hosses or the coaching, really. I mean, you've got a mastermind in Satterfield against a second-year head coach in Tyson Helton. I like Satterfield in this spot. I think they win by at least 2 touchdowns and probably more. What you got for your picks?
All right, so I got 6 as well. I'm going to start off Army, Louisiana Monroe. We went over this earlier. Yep. I got Louisiana Monroe plus 19. You said if Army scores 42, there's no chance Army will score 42. They won't have the football long enough because Louisiana Monroe is actually going to play offense. They won't go 3 and out. They're not going to turn the ball all over again. I'm taking that one. I like App State minus 17. I like Louisiana plus the 11.5. I think they got a chance to win the ball game. I will be sprinkling something on the money line for that. I love that. That's my underdog pick of the week. I like Florida State as well. Mike Norvell, he's just not going to get out coached in this game in any way, shape, form, or fashion. And when you have the talent discrepancy and the coaching discrepancy, 2 touchdowns is nothing. I'm taking it. Tulane, Willie Fritz, same thing. You can get them at 7.5 at Pinnacle right now. Go to Pinnacle. Get them at 7.5. Don't take the 8. But it probably isn't going to matter where you take them at. I think they're going to just blow the doors off. So I didn't think South Alabama was good last week. Don't think they're good after beating up on Southern Miss. That just didn't change my mind. And then my last bet, just bet the Hatter late at night. It's going to be dark at Kansas. The lights are going to be on. That place, just weird things are going to happen in Les Miles night games. And Les Miles is going to end up winning that football game by at least a touchdown. At least a touchdown.
I like it. All right, and then we will close out with parlays. We told the guys in the chat that we will do a parlay. I've got a money line parlay for this week. I don't like any of the lines enough to toss them in on a big 4-team or anything like that. But I do like these teams to win just straight up. So I'm doing a money line parlay. Mine will be Louisville, Florida State, Baylor, and App State. You put down $100, you win back $90.31 at those odds. It's basically cashing, right? I like Louisville. I like Florida State. I like Baylor. I like App State. I don't see any way that any of those teams lose the game outright. Now, could you get a backdoor cover on them? Yeah. I don't see any way any of them actually loses the game, though. So that's where I'm going with that one. Do you have one?
I'm going to give you one. I'm going to give you the Louisiana 3-way. Okay. We're going to take Louisiana Raging Cajuns. We're going to take Louisiana Monroe. We're going to take Tulane. We're going to parlay those 3 together. You'll get really good odds on that.
I like that.
That's how that's going to happen.
The Louisiana 3-way. I can get down
Sounds
with
like
that.
A fantastic Saturday night.
Good gracious. All right. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. Thank you for hanging out with us for so long, letting us take up a little bit of your afternoon. If you would do us a favor, make sure that you like the video and that you subscribe to the channel and that you go over to sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. Share the show out. Tell your friends all about it. You guys have been wonderful. And don't forget, Thursdays, we will have a show right here doing the same thing. We're going to talk some news and notes and update the odds of what's going on. And our closing line show on, I like the Q also. We will update our closing lines on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Central Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So make sure and come back in and join us for that as well. Is there anything else we need to hit?
That's it, brother.
That is it. For sportsbookreview.com, I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And we will see you again Thursday.